Hey Raiders, it's good to see you Raiders, and I wanted to make a short video to walk you through what we've already discussed in class, but the Fossilfest project that you have begun work on. Each part of this document will be filled in by you over the next week as you do research, both on campus in class time, but also as homework over these coming days. This is a fairly major assessment. And I want you to realize that the ability to do research, sort of guided research, is significant for a student at your stage of education. First thing that will go onto your Fossilfest packet is a photograph or photographs of your specimen, your chosen specimen. There will be parts of your specimen that are probably most important to highlight, to make sure that you show. Two photographs might be necessary, certainly nothing beyond that. You're also welcome to draw and to paint or color yours if you think that you can perhaps even improve upon a camera image. But that's going to go on the first part. The next part says the organism that produced this fossil, a name and description. And probably, at least in a general sense, a name was given to you on the card, the other papers that accompanied your specimen that you chose. And so that name will be given. It's very possibly a scientific name, something like Homo sapiens, right? It could be, you're not studying Homo sapiens, but the example of a genus and a species might be given to you. Perhaps only an English name was given to you. And your research might guide you to a more specific name, and that would be great if you could find that. It might not be necessary, but in any case, you want to here put the organism and a description of it. Those can be your words. They can be words that you find that describe the type of fossil that you have. Okay. In the bottom of the page where it says provenance, provenance is simply the source, the location from which your specimen came. Some of you have very specific locations, very particular, detailed information that came with your specimen. Some of you have very general information. And whatever that information is, you're going to put it here where it says provenance. On the second page, you'll see that it asks for the rock unit in which the fossil was found. Again, some of the specimens, the fossil specimens, have detailed information about the rock unit. Could be the Yorktown Formation. If that's the name that's given, then that goes here. It may be that if you're studying something that didn't give you the name of the rock formation or the group of formations in which your specimen was found, that your research will lead you to a likely rock formation in which fossils such as yours may have been found, from which it may have come. So that's what's going to go there. The second thing is the age of the fossil or rock unit. That is where when the organism lived. That could be given to you on your card, could be very specific, could be more general. In any case, you're going to look at your card, look at the geologic time scale at the back of the classroom on the wall, and you can find where your specimen or the rock unit in which it was found, where that lines up in geologic time. And so definitely you want to use that resource. This one that we're using is the GSA, Geological Society of America Geologic Time Scale. And you can probably also find that on the home page if you want to work on this outside of class. I'll post it in any case in announcements for you. The next thing is you are supposed to write about the type of fossilization process or processes that preserved your specimen. And so in the packet that I gave you that's more on sedimentary rocks and fossils, you'll see kind of a whole spread, two pages that will walk you through some of the different types of fossilizing processes. And you can use that as your primary resource. The textbook, a couple of other books in the classroom may also help you. But a lot of what you're going to do will be driven by computer-based research, just using the internet. The next thing on the page is the paleo environment, the life and or death situation in which your organism lived. And so you want to search online and try to understand your organism. Could have been something that lived in a marine environment in the ocean, could be something that lived on a savanna, a prairie, or something. In any case, you want to try to describe the situation in which the organism lived, and if you can understand it, the situation, the paleo environment in which it died. What had to be the situation for it to be preserved in the way that it's preserved. At the bottom of the page, it asks for similar genera or species extant today. So that means if the fossil that you're studying has a cousin or relative that's still alive today, you want to put that here. It could be that the type of thing you're studying has no modern equivalents, no living relatives, in which case you can't put anything there. But many of the fossils that you're studying actually have a living relative today. And so that's what you will put here. And again, you'll find that out as you do research online. The last page of the three that you're going to fill in, this just asks for other information. So sort of like when you did Volcanorama and you had other interesting information or fun facts, that you can put here. And this can be, as it says, information about the organism, the creature, the plant, whatever, about its fossil type or about the rock unit in which it was found, or which it may not have been told to you in which rock unit it was found, but perhaps as you did research, you found out a rock unit which is the likely source for your specimen. The final thing on the page is key sources. Again, this needs to be in MLA format. You can use an online tool like Owl Purdue to generate that information for you, but you are going to hand copy it onto this paper. I also gave you pages back in the fall that showed you examples and models of MLA format. I personally, again, don't trust a lot of the online tools. I try to do it by hand because I know I can copy and do it properly, and I don't like putting trust in a system that doesn't always generate what I know to be correct. So I will leave that to you, but I'm looking for the actual MLA format. And again, you can find that on the home page, the document that I gave you in the fall, if you don't still have that. At the very bottom of the page, of course, is student name, date, and earth science block down here. Please do strive to do this neatly. Neatness and attractiveness, crisp cleanness is in view here. And you want to use the same writing utensil for the whole document. The final page of the packet, of course, is the rubric so that you know how you'll be assessed. As you're working, remember that you will be doing an oral presentation. 20% of the grade will be on this 1.5 to 2 minute oral presentation. You will be allowed a 3x5 card or possibly even to use this packet as your notes. But the key thing is that you realize that you are doing public speaking. You are addressing an audience. You are not reading a report. So if you use the packet or a note card for that matter, remember that this needs to be coming from your mind. This is not coming from your paper. You need to know your material well enough that you can talk about it. You each have only one fossil with the exception of one. There's one card that actually had 2 fossils associated with it. But you're only talking about one fossil, one organism that produced it, and one's kind of paleo environment set of circumstances in which it lived and died. Your research is something you should be able to talk about for at least 1.5 minutes. But again, make sure that you remember the rubric that we used previously, both for the astronomy poster in the fall and then for the Black History Month outlines. The expectation is that you have eye contact with your audience, that you're connecting with your audience, that you're speaking clearly with sufficient volume that everyone in the room can hear, that you are not pausing unnaturally, that you're not saying lots of ums or now this or so that. There are situations where those words can be used, but think it's better to pause sometimes, just briefly to pause to collect your thoughts, than to just have filler sounds like or whatever. So practice this so that your presentation is a beautiful thing that communicates well about what you've learned to an audience that maybe has almost no information, no knowledge about that organism. Your public speaking practice will help you lifelong, because you will almost always, almost every one of you will be called upon at some point to address a group, an audience, maybe a small group, maybe a large group. But public speaking is an important tool. So that's the Fossilfest project. You'll have time in class, again, to work on this, but remember, you'll have to use some time outside of class in order to complete this assignment. You only have a week, and I don't want you to feel pressured at the end of the week. So pace yourself this weekend. If you have some extra time, spend some of the time doing research. Again, this is going to be mainly internet-based, not a lot of books, but digging around on the internet. There's a tremendous amount of information about all of these types of specimens, the organisms that produce these fossils, the environments in which they lived, about the rock units in which they were found, about the time period in the geologic time scale, excuse me. All of that type of information should be available to you as you search and do internet research about your specimen. So thank you for your attention. Work well on Fossilfest. Hope you find it interesting, enjoyable, and not only your research hopefully will be enjoyable, but what you learn from your classmates as well. Take care now. Bye-bye.